Welcome, crew, guys, gals, ghouls, friends, fiends, foes, whoever may be listening beyond the Omniverse tonight. Secure your tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the La Platas on a rocky mountain high, get sucked into the vortex of the Four Corners, and settle down snugly at mile marker 420 in colorful Colorado. It is Sunday, May 19th, Monday, May 20th for those of you across the pond and beyond. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you. And thanks so much for joining me here on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. I'm your host, TessaTNT, and we are broadcasting live from the Mile High Clubhouse tonight. So glad you could join us wherever you may be listening from. If you're listening live right now, you may be listening to us on KPNL Radio, which you can find on KPNL Radio at kpnl-db.com. You can also find us on eTalk Radio, which you can find at etalk.tv/radio, as well as Spreaker.com under We Are Paradox Media. If you like to watch your podcast as well as listen to it, just mosey on over to our YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, like any video that you've watched or listened to, leave us some comments, whether good or bad, and give that bell a little flick. That way, next time we have a show come up, you'll be made privy of it, and we'll be aware that there's some crazy shenanigans going on out there somewhere, which is here, right here. If you want to listen in your free time, whether you're working it or working out, just tune in wherever you listen to your podcasts under We Are Paradox Media. All righty, so last night was awesome. We had Chris Garcia on and his beautiful girlfriend. We had such a good time. I really enjoyed hanging out with both of them and talking about the crazy shenanigans going on in the world today. Also, we had, I think, one person call in and get a reading, and that went really well too. But yeah, we had a really epic time last night. Hopefully we have an epic time this evening as well. So, for story time, we're going to be reading Sue Graftons. K is for killer. And we're on chapter 16. I believe there's 4 more chapters. So the very last one will be chapter 20. And I'm hoping that we finish this one tonight. Therefore, out loud, we shall go on to our next book, which is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I'm super excited about that. All right, let's go. Chapter 16. Oh, hold on a second. Wait a tick. Oh, it's supposed to be fucking storytime music. Sorry, guys. I just spilled my drink. Man, I'm such a klutz. Look at me go. Oh, yeah. I was about to say I can't hear it, but I think it's just slow-paced. The emergency room at St. Terry's was bedlam, a glimpse into purgatory. There had been a 6-car accident on the highway, and all of the examination rooms were filled with the injured and dying. In each cubicle, against the hot white cloth of the surrounding screens, I could see a shadow play of medical procedures against a backdrop of supply carts, wall-mounted oxygen, and hanging bags of blood and glucose, x-ray machinery, etc. Once in a while, the low hum of activity would be cut by hellish shrieks from the patient on the gurney. On one stretcher, unattended, the victim writhed as if licked by flames, crying, "Mercy, have mercy!" I almost said elderly. An orderly came by and moved him into a newly vacated examining room. Doctors, nurses, and medtechs had been mustered from every corner of St. Terry's. I watched them work in perfect concert, actions urgent and precise. What the medical soap operas on TV conveniently omit is all the pain and puke, body functions gone bad, needles piercing flesh, the bruises, and the trembling. the low cries for help. Who wants to sit there and stare at real life? We want all the drama of hospitals without the underlying anguish. In the waiting room, the faces of the relatives who had been notified of the collision were gray and haggard. They spoke in hushed voices. Family members huddled in small groups, their postures bent with dread. Two women clung together, weeping hopelessly. On the other side of the glass doors, at one end of the parking lot, the nicotine addicts had collected in a cloud of cigarette smoke. I'd seen Serena Bonney soon after Danielle was brought in, but she'd been swallowed up by the commotion. When I first pushed open Danielle's front door, she was lying on the floor naked, her face as pink and pulpy as seedless watermelon. Blood spurted from a jagged laceration in her scalp, and she moved her limbs aimlessly as if she might crawl away from her own internal injuries. I disconnected my emotions, doing what I could to stem the bleeding while I grabbed the phone off her bed. The 911 dispatcher had alerted a patrol car and an ambulance, both of which arrived within minutes. Two paramedics had gone to work, administering whatever first aid they could. The bruises on her body formed a pattern of dark overlapping lines that suggested she'd been pounded with a blunt instrument. The weapon turned out to be a rag-wrapped length of lead pipe, and her assailant had tossed it in the bushes on his way out. The patrol officer had spotted it when he arrived and left it for bagging by the crime scene investigators, who showed up shortly afterward. Once the officer secured the scene, we moved out onto the small front porch, standing in a shallow pool of light while he questioned me, taking notes. By then, the alleyway was choked with vehicles. A stutter of blue lights punctuated the darkness. The police radio contributed a deadpan staccato murmur, broken up by raspy intervals of static. A clutch of neighbors had assembled in the side yard in a motley assortment of sockless jogging shoes, bedroom slippers, coats, and ski jackets pulled on over night clothes. The patrol officer began to canvass the crowd, checking to see if there were any other witnesses aside from me. And it's funny how they do that, because people actually go back to the scene of their crimes. So yeah, always look at the crowd, see who's there. For some reason, like, they can't help themselves. Like, they'll either get in the crowd or call the police station, ask questions, give tips, etc. It's pretty weird. A sporty, bright red Mazda pulled up in the alley with a chirp of tires. Cheney Phillips emerged and strode up the walk. He acknowledged my presence and then exchanged brief words with the uniformed officer, identifying himself before he moved into Danielle's cottage. I saw him halt on the threshold and back up a step. From the open door, he did a slow survey of the bloody scene, as if clicking off a sequence of time-lapse photos. I imagined the view as I had seen it. The rumpled bedding, furniture knocked sideways and toppled. In the meantime, Danielle had been wrapped in blankets and shifted onto the gurney. I stepped aside for the paramedics as they brought her through the front door. I made eye contact with the elder of the two. Mind if I ride along? Fine with me, as long as the detective doesn't protest. Cheney caught the exchange between us and gave a nod of assent. Catch you later, he said. The gurney was cased into the back of the ambulance. I left my car where it was, parked to one side of the alley behind Danielle's house. I sat beside her blanket-covered form in the rear of the ambulance, trying to stay out of range of the young paramedic who continued to monitor her vital signs. Her eyes were bruised and as swollen as a newly hatched bird's. From time to time, I could see her stir, blind with pain and confusion. I kept saying, "You're going to be okay. You're fine. It's over." I wasn't even sure she had heard me, but I had to hope the reassurance was getting through. She was barely conscious. The flashing yellow lights were reflected in the plate glass storefronts as we sped up State Street. Sirens seemed somehow disassociated from events. At that hour of the night, the streets were largely empty, and the journey was accomplished with remarkable dispatch. It was not until we reached the emergency room that we heard about the multi-car wreck out on 101. I sat out in the waiting room for an hour while they worked on her. By then, most of the accident victims had been tended to, and the place was clearing out. I found myself leafing through the same Family Circle magazine I'd read before. Same perfect woman with the same perfect teeth. The July issue was looking dog-eared. Certain articles had been torn out, and someone had annotated the article on male menopause, pinning rude comments in the margin. I read busy day recipes for backyard barbecues, a column of readers' suggestions for solving various parental dilemmas involving their children's lying, stealing, and their inability to read. Gave me a lot of faith in the generation coming up. Cheney Phillips walked in. His dark hair was as curly as a standard poodle's, and I noticed that he was impeccably dressed. Chinos and sport coat over an immaculate white dress shirt, dark socks, and penny loafers. He moved to the reception desk and flipped out his badge, identifying himself to the clerk, who was frantically typing up admissions forms. She made a quick phone call. I watched while he followed her into the treatment room, where I'd seen them take Danielle. Moments later, he stepped out into the corridor, again in conversation with one of the ER doctors. Two orderlies emerged, maneuvering a rolly gurney between them. Okay, let me just check my sound really quick and make sure this is going good. All right. We are good. Moments later, he stepped out into the corridor, again in conversation with one of the ER doctors. Two orderlies emerged, maneuvering a rolling gurney between them. Danielle's head was swaddled in bandages. Cheney's expression was neutral as she was rolled away. The door disappeared into the next cubicle. Cheney glanced up and saw me. He came out into the waiting room and took a seat next to me on the blue tweed couch. He reached for my hand and laced his fingers through mine. "How's she doing?" I asked. "They're taking her up to surgery. Doctor's worried about internal bleeding. I guess the guy kicked the shit out of her as a parting gesture. She's got a broken jaw, cracked ribs, damage to her spleen, and God knows what else. Doctor says she's a mess." "She looked awful," I said. Belatedly, I could feel the blood drain away from my brain. Clamminess and nausea filled me up like a well. Ordinarily, I'm not squeamish, but Danielle was a friend and I'd seen the damage. Hearing her injuries cataloged was too vivid a reminder of the suffering that I'd witnessed. I put my head down in between my knees until the roaring ceased. This was the second time I'd found myself fading, and I knew I needed help. Cheney watched with concern. "You want to go find a Coke or a cup of coffee?" "It'll probably be an hour before we hear anything." "I can't leave. I want to be here when she comes out of surgery." "Cafeteria's down the hall. I'll tell the nurse where you are, and she can come get us if we're not back by then." "All right, but make sure Serena knows. I saw her back there a little while ago." Cafeteria had closed at 10, but we found a row of vending machines that dispensed sandwiches, yogurts, fresh fruit, ice cream, and hot and cold drinks. Cheney bought 2 cans of Pepsi, 2 ham and cheese sandwiches on rye, and 2 pieces of cherry pie on styrofoam plates. I sat numbly at an empty table in a little alcove off to one side. He came back with a tray loaded with the food, straws, napkins, plastic cutlery, paper packets of salt and pepper, and pouches of pickle relish, mustard, ketchup, and mayonnaise. "I hope you're hungry," he said. He began to set the table, arranging condiments on matching paper napkins in front of us. "Seems like I just ate, but why not?" I said. "You can't pass this up." Such a feast, I said, smiling. I was too tired to lift a finger, feeling like a kid. I watched while he unwrapped the sandwiches and began to doctor them. We have to make these really disgusting, he said. Well, why? Because then we won't notice how bland they are. He tore a plastic packet with his teeth, squeezing gobs of bright red and yellow across the meat, salt and pepper, and smears of mayonnaise with a scattering of relish. Ew. You want to tell me about it? He said idly while he worked. He popped the lid on a can of Pepsi and passed an amended sandwich to me. Eat that, no arguments. Who can resist? Ugh. I bit into the sandwich, nearly weeping. It tasted so good, I moaned, shifting the bite to my cheek so I could talk while I was eating. I saw Danielle last night. We had dinner together at my place. I told her then that I might see her tonight, but I really went by on a whim. I put a hand against my mouth, swallowing, and then took a sip of Pepsi. I don't know if she had company, but I sat there in the car with the engine running, checking it out. I could see that she had her lights on, so I finally decided to go knock on her door. Worst case scenario, she'd be with some guy and I'd tiptoe away. He probably saw your headlights. Cheney had eaten half his sandwich in about 3 bites. Our moms would kill us if they saw us eating this fast. I was bolting food down the same as he was. I can't help it. It's delicious. Anyway, keep talking. I didn't mean to interrupt. Paused to wipe my mouth on a paper napkin. He must have heard me, if nothing else. That cart makes a racket like a power mower. Half the time. Did you actually see him leave her place? I shook my head. I only caught a glimpse of him as he was walking away. By then I was on the porch and could hear her moan. I thought she was entertaining from the sounds that she was making. Like I'd caught her in the throes of passion, maybe faking it for effect. When I saw the guy out in the alley, it occurred to me something was off. I don't know what it was. On the face of it, there was no reason to think he was connected. But it seemed odd somehow. That's when I tried the knob. He probably would have killed her if you hadn't showed. Oh geez, don't say that. I was this close to leaving when I spotted him. What about a description? Big guy? Little? Can't help you there. I only saw him for a second, and it was largely in the dark. You sure it was a man? Well, I couldn't swear it in court, but if you're asking what I thought at the time, I'd say yes. A woman doesn't usually whack another woman with a lead pipe, I said. He was white, I know that. What else? Dark clothes, and I'm sure he was wearing hard shoes because I heard his soles scratching on the pavement as he walked away. He was cool about it, too. He didn't run. Nice, leisurely pace, like he was just out for a stroll. How do you know he wasn't? Well, I thought about it briefly. I think because he didn't look at me, even in the dark. People are aware of each other. I sure spotted him. In a situation like that, someone looks at you. You turn and look at them. I notice it most when I'm out on the highway. If I stare at another driver, it seems to catch their attention, and they turn and stare back. He kept his face to the front, but I'm sure he knew I was watching. Cheney hunched over his plate and started in on his pie. We had a couple of cars cruise the area shortly after the call came in, but there was no sign of it. He might live somewhere down there? Or had his car parked nearby, he said. Did she say she had a date tonight? She didn't mention an appointment. Could have been Lester, come to think of it. She said he'd been in a foul mood, whatever that consists of. The pie was the type I remembered from grade school, a perfect blend of cherry glue and pink shriveled fruit, with a papery crust that nearly broke the tines off the fork. The first bite was the best. The pie point. Hard to picture Lester doing something like this. If she's beat up, she can't work. Mr. Dickhead's all business. He wouldn't tamper with his girls, more likely, or John. You think she pissed some guy off? Cheney gave me a look. This wasn't spur of the moment. This guy went prepared with a pipe already wrapped to hide his fingerprints. I finished my pie and ran the fork around the surface of the styrofoam plate. I watched the red of the cherry pie filling ooze across the tines of the plastic fork. I was thinking about the goons in the limousine, wondering if I should mention them to Cheney. I'd been warned not to tell him, but suppose it was them. I really couldn't see the motivation from their perspective. Why would an attorney from Los Angeles want to kill a local hooker? If he was so crazy about Lorna, why beat the life out of her? As a best friend, Cheney said, "What?" "Well, I'm wondering if this is related to my investigation." Sorry, I gotta take this cover up. Good. That's my redonkulous. Could be, I guess. Well, we'll never know unless we catch him. He began to gather crumpling napkins and empty Pepsi cans, piling empty plastic packets on the tray. Distracted, I pinched in, cleaning off the tabletop. When we got back to the emergency room, Serena called the OR and had a chat with one of the surgical nurses. Even eavesdropping, I couldn't pick up any information. "You might as well go home," she said. "Danielle's still in surgery, and once she comes out, she'll be in the recovery room for another hour. After that, they'll take her to intensive care." "Will they let me see her?" I asked. "They may, but I doubt it. You're not a relative." "Well, how bad is she?" "Apparently she's stable, but they're not going to know much until the surgery gets finished. He's the one to give you details, but it's going to be a while yet." Cheney was watching me. "I can run home, if you like." "I'd rather stick around here than go home," I said. "I'll be fine if you want to go, honest. You don't have to babysit me." "I don't mind. I got nothing better at this hour anyway. Maybe we can find a couch somewhere and let you grab a nap." Serena suggested the little waiting room off ICU, which was where we ended up. Cheney sat and read a magazine while I curled up on the sofa, slightly shorter than I was. There was something soothing about the snap of paper as he turned the pages, the occasional clearing of his throat. Sleep came down like a weight pressuring me to the couch. When I woke, the room was empty, but Cheney draped his sport coat across my upper body, so I didn't think he'd gone far. I could feel the silky lining on his jacket, which smelled of expensive aftershave. I checked the clock on the wall. It was 3:35. I lay there for a moment, wondering if there was some way to stay where I was, feeling warm and safe. I could learn to live on a waiting room couch, have meals brought in, tend to personal hygiene in the ladies' room down the hall. It'd be cheaper than paying rent, and if something happened to me, I'd be within range of medical assistance. From the corridor, I heard footsteps and the murmur of male voices. Cheney appeared in the doorway, leaning against the frame. "Ah, you're back. You want to see Danielle?" I sat up. "Is she awake?" "Not really. They just brought her down from surgery. She's still groggy, but she's been admitted to ICU. I told the charge nurse you're a vice detective and need to identify a witness." I pressed my fingers against my eyes and rubbed my face. I ran my hands through my hair, realizing that for once, because of Danielle's cutting skills, every strand wasn't standing straight up on end. I gathered my resources and let out a big breath, willing myself back to wakefulness. I pushed myself to my feet and brushed some of the wrinkles out of my turtleneck. One thing about casual dressing, you always look about the same. Even sleeping in a pair of blue jeans doesn't have much effect. From the corridor, we used the house phone to call into ICU. Cheney handled the formalities and got us both buzzed in. "Am I supposed to have a badge?" I murmured to him as we moved down the corridor. "Don't worry about it. I told him you're working undercover as a bag lady." "Oh, hey, Anthony. Good to see you, brother." Yeah, that's pretty funny. I gave him a little push. We waited outside Danielle's room, watching through the glass window while a nurse checked her blood pressure and adjusted the drip on her IV. Like the layout in the cardiac care unit, these rooms formed a U shape around the nurse's station. Patients clearly visible for constant monitoring. Cheney had chatted with the doctors, and he conveyed the gist of her current situation. He took her spleen out. Orthopedic surgeon did most of the work, as it turns out, set her jaw, set her collarbone, and taped her ribs. She had 2 broken fingers, a lot of bruising. She should be all right, but it's going to take a while. The cut on her scalp turned out to be the least of it. Mild concussion, lots of blood. I've done that myself. Bang your head on the medicine cabinet. It looks like you're bleeding to death. That's true, like head injuries are pretty severe. The nurse straightened Danielle's covers and came out of the room. 2 minutes, she said, lifting her fingers, forming a V. We stood side by side in silence, looking down at her like patrons, taking in the sight of a newborn baby. Hard to believe she belonged to us. She was nearly unrecognizable. Her eyes blackened, jaw puffy, her nose packed and taped. One splinted hand lay outside the covers. All of her bright red acrylic nails had popped off or broken, and it made her poor swollen fingers look bloody at the tips. The rest of her was scarcely more than a child-sized mound. She was drifting in and out, never sufficiently alert to be aware of us. She seemed diminished by machinery, but there was something reassuring about all the personnel and equipment. As battered as she was, this was where she needed to be. Leaving ICU, Cheney put his arm around my shoulders. You okay? I leaned my head against him briefly. I'm fine. How about you? Doing okay, he said. He pressed the down arrow for the elevator. I had the doctor leave orders. They won't give out any information about her condition, and no one gets in. You think the guy would come back? It looks like he tried to kill her once. Who knows how serious he is about finishing the job? I feel guilty, like this is somehow connected to Lorna's death, I said. You want to fill me in? On what? The elevators opened. He stepped in, and Cheney pressed the 1. We began to descend. The piece you haven't told me. You're holding something back, are you not? His tone was light, but his gaze was intent. I guess I am, I said. I gave a quick sketch of my conversation in the limousine with the Los Angeles attorney and his sidekicks. As we emerged from the elevator, I said, You have any idea who the guy could be? He said he represented someone else, but he might have been talking about himself. I can ask around. I know those guys come up here for R&R. Give me the phone number and I'll check it out. I'd rather not, I said. The less I know, the better. Are they running prostitutes up here? Maybe something minor, nothing big time. They probably control local action, but that may not mean much more than skimming off the profits. Leave the nuts and bolts to the guys under them. Cheney had parked on a side street closer to the front entrance than the emergency room. We reached the lobby. The gift shop and the coffee shop were both closed. Shadowy interiors visible through a plate glass window. At the main desk, a man was engaged in an agitated conversation with the patient information desk. Cheney's manner underwent a change. His posture shifted into cop mode. His expression became implacable, and his walk took on a hint of swagger. In one smooth motion, he'd flipped his badge toward the clerk, his gaze pinned on the fellow giving her such grief. Hello, Lester. You want to step over here? We can have a chat, he said. Lester Dudley modified his own behavior correspondingly. He lost his bullying manner and smiled ingratiatingly. Hey, Phillips. Nice to see you. Thought I caught sight of you earlier, down around Danielle's place. You hear what happened? Not alone, I hope. I hate to see a guy like you lonely. Offer still stands, day or night, male or female. Anything you got a taste for, Lester Dudley provides. You pandering, Lester? I was just teasing, Phillips. Jesus, can a guy make a little joke? I know the law as well as you do, probably better, if it comes right down to it. Lester Dudley didn't suit my mental image of a pimp. From a distance, he had looked like a surly adolescent, too young to be admitted to an R-rated movie without a parent or guardian. Up close, I had to place him in his early 40s, a flyweight maybe 5'4". His hair was dark and straight, slicked back away from his face. He had small eyes, a big nose, and a slightly receding chin. His neck was thin, making his head look like a turnip. That's nice. Cheney didn't bother to introduce us, but Lester seemed aware of me, blinking at me slyly like an earth-burrowing creature suddenly hauled into daylight. He wore kids' clothes, a long-sleeve cotton knit t-shirt with horizontal stripes, blue jeans, denim jacket, and Keds. Do they still make those? Oh no. He had his arms crossed, hands tucked into his armpits. His watch was a Breitling, probably a fake, riddled with dials, and far too big for his wrist. It looked more like something he might have acquired sending off box tops. So how's Danielle doing? I couldn't get a straight answer from the broad at the desk. Cheney's pager went off, and he checked the number on the face of it. Shit, I'll be right back, he murmured. Lester seemed to bounce on his heels, ill at ease, staring after Cheney as he moved over to the desk. I thought I ought to break the ice. You're Danielle's personal manager? That's right, Lester Dudley, he said, holding out his hand. I shook his hands with him despite my reluctance to make physical contact. Kinsey Milhone, I said. I'm a friend of hers. When you need information, you can't afford to let personal repugnance stand in your way. He was saying, clerk's giving me a hard time, wouldn't give me information, even after I explained who I was. Probably one of those women's liberation types, no doubt. How's she doing, poor kid? I heard she really got the shit kicked out of her. Some crackaholic probably did it. They're mean sons of bitches. The doctor left before I had a chance to talk to him, I said. Maybe the clerk was under orders not to give out information. Hey, not her. She was having way too much fun, enjoying herself at my expense. Not that it bothers me. I'm always taking flack from these women's liber types. Can you believe they're still around? I thought they gave it up by now, but no such luck. Here just a week, this bunch of ballbusters came down on me like a ton of bricks, claimed I was engaged in white slavery. Do you believe that? What a crock. How can they be talking about white slavery when half my girls are black? You're being too literal. I think you missed the point, I said. Here's the point, he said. These girls make good money. We're talking big bucks, mega dollars. Where these girls go to get employment opportunities like this. They got no education. Half of them's got IQs in double digits. You don't hear them whining. Do they complain? No way. They're living like queens. I'll tell you something else. This bunch of ballbusters isn't offering a damn thing. No jobs, no training, not even public assistance. How concerned could they be? These girls have to earn a living. You want to hear what I told them? I said, ladies, this is business. I don't create the market. It's supply and demand. Girls provide the goods and services, and that's all it is. You think they care? You know what it's about? Sexual repression, male-bashing bunch of fuzz bumpers. They hate guys, hate to see anyone get their jollies with the opposite sex. Or, said I, they might object to the idea of anyone exploiting young girls. Just a wild guess on my part. Well, if that's their problem, what's the beef? He asked. I feel the same way as them, but they treat me like the enemy. That's what I don't get. My girls are clean and well protected, and that's the truth. Danielle was well protected? Of course not, he said, exasperated that I was being so dense. She should have listened to me, I told her. Don't take guys home. I told her, don't do a guy without me outside the door. That's my job. This is how I earn my percentage. I drive her when she goes on appointments. No crazies going to lay a hand on her if she's got an escort. For cripe's sake. She didn't call. And if she don't call, I can't help. It's as simple as that. Well, maybe it's time she got out of the life, I said. That's what she's saying, and I go, hey, that's up to you. Nobody forces my girls to stay in. She wants out, that's her business. I'd have to ask how she's going to earn a living. He let that one trail, his voice tinged with skepticism. Meaning what? I'm not following. I'm just trying to picture her working in a department store, waitressing, something like that, minimum wage type job. Beat up like that, it'd be tough, of course, but as long as she don't mind coming down in the world, who am I to object? You got scars on your face? Might be a trick to get employment. Nobody said anything about facial scars, I said. Where'd you get that idea? Oh, well, I just assumed. Word on the street is she got busted up bad. Naturally, I thought, some unfortunate facial involvement. It's a pity, of course, but a lot of guys try to do that, interfere with a poor girl's ability to make a living, undercut their confidence, and shit like that. Cheney reappeared, his gaze shifting with curiosity from Lester's face to mine. Everything okay? Sure, fine, I said tensely. We're just talking business, Lester said. I never did hear how Danielle is. She going to be all right? Time to go, Cheney said to him. I'll walk you out to your car. Hey, sure thing. Where they got her? Up in orthopedics? I could send some flowers. If I knew. Someone told me her jaw's broke. Probably some coked-up lunatic. Skip the flowers. We're not giving out information. Doctor's orders, Cheney said. Pretty smart. I was going to suggest that myself. Keeps her safe from the wrong types. I said too late for that, but the irony escaped him. Once we reached the street in front of St. Terry's, we did a parting round of handshakes, as though we just had a business meeting. The minute Lester's back was turned, I wiped my hand on my jeans. Ew. Cheney and I waited on the sidewalk until we saw him drive away. Chapter 17. It was close to 4 a.m. as Cheney's little red Mazda droned through the darkened streets. With the top down, the wind whipped across my face. I leaned my head back and watched the sky race by. On the mountainside of the city, the shadowy foothills were strung with necklaces of streetlights as twinkling as bulbs on a Christmas tree. In the houses we passed, I could see an occasional house light wink on as early morning workers plugged in coffee and staggered to the shower. Too cold for you? No, this is fine, I said. Lester seemed to know a lot about Danielle's beating. You think he did it? Not if he wanted her to work, Cheney said. The sky at that hour is a plain unbroken gray shading, down to the black trees. Dew saturates the grass. Sometimes you can hear the spritzing of the rainbirds. Computers programmed to water lawns before the sun was fully risen. If the cycle of low rainfall persisted as it had in the past, water usage would be restricted and all the lush grass would die. During the last drought, many homeowners had been reduced to spraying their yards with dense green paint. Sounds like China. On Cabana Boulevard, a kid on a skateboard careened along the darkened sidewalk. It occurred to me that I'd been waiting to see a juggler, a man on the bike, with his tail light and pumping feet. He was beginning to represent some capricious force at work, elfin and evil. Some figment of my imagination dancing along ahead of me like the answer to a riddle. Wherever I went, he'd eventually appear, always headed somewhere in a hurry, never quite arriving at his destination. Cheney had slowed, leaning forward to check the skateboarder as we passed him. Cheney raised a hand in greeting, and the kid waved back. Who's that? I asked. Works night maintenance at the convalescent home. He had his driver's license pulled on a DUI. Actually, he's a good kid, he said. Moments later, he turned into Danielle's alley, where my car was still parked. He pulled in behind the VW, shifting into neutral to minimize the rumble of his engine. How's your day looking? Will you have time to sleep? I hope so. I'm really bushed, I said. Are you going to work? I'm going home to bed, for a couple of hours at any rate. I'll give you a call later. If you're up for it, we can get a bite to eat someplace. Let me see how my day shapes up. If I'm not in, leave a number. I'll get back to you. You going into the office? Actually, I thought I'd go over to Danielle's and clean. Last I saw, the place was covered with blood. You don't have to do that. The landlord said he'd have a crew come in first thing next week. He can't get him till Monday, but it's better than you doing it. I don't mind. I'd like to do something for her. Maybe pick up her robe and slippers and take him over to St. Terry's. Up to you, he said. I'll watch till you take off. Make sure your car starts and the boogeyman don't get you. Opened the car door and got out, reaching down for my handbag. Thanks for the ride and for everything else. I mean that. You're welcome. I slammed the door, moving over to my car, while Cheney hovered like a guardian angel. The VW started without a murmur. I waved to demonstrate that everything was A-OK. But he wasn't ready to let go. He followed me home, the two of us winding up and down the darkened streets. For once, I found a parking space right in front of my place. At that point, he seemed to feel that I was safe. He shifted into first and took off. I locked the car, went through the gate, and walked around back, where I unlocked my front door and let myself in. I scooped up the mail and had been shoved through a slot, flipped a light on, set my bag down, and locked the front door behind me. I started peeling off my clothes as I climbed the spiral stairs, littering the floor with discarded articles of clothing, like those scenes in romantic comedies where the lovers can hardly wait. I felt that way about sleep. Naked, I staggered around, closing the blinds, turning off the phone, dousing lights. I crawled under the quilt with a sigh of relief. I thought I was too tired to sleep, but as it turned out, I wasn't. I didn't wake until well after 5 p.m. For a moment, I thought I'd slept all the way around the clock until the next dawn. I stared up at the clear plexiglass dome above my head, trying to orient myself in the half-light. Given the early February sunsets, the day was already draining away like gray water from the bottom of a bathtub. I assessed my mental state and decided I'd probably had enough sleep, then realized I was starving and hauled myself out of bed. I brushed my teeth, showered, and shampooed my hair. Afterward, I pulled on an old sweatshirt and worn jeans. Downstairs, I collected a plastic bucket full of rags and cleaning products. Now that the immediate crisis had passed, I found myself turning into the rage that I felt for her assailant. Men who beat women were almost as low as the men who beat kids. I tried Cheney's number, but he was apparently already up and out. I left a message on his machine indicating the time of day and the fact that I was too hungry to wait for him. When I opened my front door, a manila envelope dropped out of the frame, where it had been tucked. Across the front, Hector had scrawled a note. Friday, 5:35 p.m. Knocked, but no answer. Amended transcript and tape enclosed. Sorry I couldn't be more help. Give me a call when you get back. He jotted down a phone number and a number for the studio. He must have stopped by and knocked while I was in the shower. I checked the time. He'd apparently been there only 15 minutes before, and I had to guess it was too soon to catch him at either number. I tucked both the tape and the transcript in my handbag and then took myself to a coffee shop where breakfast was served 24 hours a day. That sounds grand. I studied Hector's notations while I made a pig of myself, hastily consuming a plate full of sorts of foodstuffs nutritionists forbid. He hadn't managed to decipher much more than I had. To my page of notes, he added the following. Hey, I hate that stuff. Myself think. You're not. Oh, come on, I'm just kidding. Laughter. But you have to admit, it's a great idea. She goes in at the same time every day. Deefy, you're sick. People shouldn't get in my clatter, clink, sound of water, squeak. If anything happens, I'll thump, thump. I'm serious. Stubby, no link. Laughter, chair scrape, rustle, murmur. At the bottom of the page, he'd scrawled 3 big question marks by sentiments exactly. When I reached Danielle's cottage, I parked in the alleyway near the hedge, as I had the night before. It was dark by then. At this rate, I might never see full sun again. I took out my flashlight and checked the batteries, satisfied that the beam was still strong. I spent a few minutes walking along the borders of the alleyway, using the blade of light to cut through the weeds on either side. I didn't expect to find anything. I wasn't really looking for evidence as such. I wanted to see if I could figure out where Danielle's assailant might have gone. There were any number of places where he might have hidden, yards he could have crossed to reach the streets on either side. In the middle of the night, even a slender tree trunk can provide cover. For all I knew, he'd taken up position within easy viewing distance, watching the ambulance and all the cop cars arrive. I went back to Danielle's cottage, where I crossed the backyard to the main house. I climbed the back steps and knocked on the lighted kitchen window. I could see Danielle's landlord rinsing dinner dishes before he placed them in the rack. He caught sight of me at just about the time and came to the back door, drying his hands on a dish towel. Got a key from him, pausing to chat for a few minutes about the assault. He'd gone to bed at 10. He said he was a light sleeper, but his bedroom was on the second floor, the street side of the house, and he'd heard nothing. He was a man in his 70s, retired military, though he didn't say much of which branch he was in. If he knew how Danielle made a living, he made no comment. He seemed as fond of her as I was, and that was all I cared about. I professed ignorance of her current status, except to indicate that she'd survived and was expected to recover. He didn't press for specifics. I walked back along the brick path to Danielle's small porch. The crime scene tape had been removed, but I could see traces of fingerprint powder around the doorknob and frame. The rag-wrapped length of bloody pipe would probably be tested for fingerprints, but I doubted it would yield much. I let myself into the cottage and flipped on the overhead light. The splattered blood was like Rorschach, a dark red pattern of smears and exclamation marks where the force of the blows had flung blood in 2 tracks across the wall. The blood-stained rug had been removed, probably tossed in the trash. The blood on the baseboard looked like teardrops of paint. The entire apartment was barely a room and a half and cheaply constructed. I toured the premises, though there wasn't much to see. Like mine, Danielle's living quarters occupied a very small space. It looked as though Danielle's battle with her assailants had been confined to the front room, most of which was taken up with a sitting area and a king-size bed. The sheets and comforter were a Laura Ashley print, pink and white floral polished cotton with matching drapes, and a correlating pink and white striped paper lined the walls. Her kitchen consisted of a hot plate and a microwave oven sitting atop a painted chest of drawers. The bathroom was small, painted white, with tiny old-fashioned black and white tiles on the floor. The sink was skirted in the same Laura Ashley print she'd used in the bedroom. She'd bought a matching polished cotton shower curtain with a valance covering the rod. The wall opposite the John was a mini gallery. A dozen framed photographs were hung close together, many sitting crooked on the hangers. Danielle must have been flung against the connected wall during the assault. Several had been knocked off the wall and lay face down on the tile floor. I lifted them with care. 2 of the frames had smashed on impact, and the glass in all 4 was either badly cracked or broken. I stacked the 4 damaged pictures together, tossed glass shards in the trash, and then straightened the remaining photographs, pausing to absorb the subject matter. Danielle as a baby. Danielle with mom and dad. Danielle at about 9, in a dance recital with her hair done up. I went back into the front room and found a thick sheaf of brown grocery bags tucked in the slot between the wall and the chest of drawers. I put the damaged frame photographs in the bag and set them by the front door. I'd seen similar frames at the drugstore for a couple of bucks a piece. Maybe I'd stop by and pick some up as replacements. I pulled all the linens off the bed and set them out on the porch. Even the dust rubble had picked up a spray of blood posies. I'd make a trip to the cleaners in the morning. I filled my bucket with hot water, mixing a potent brew of cleaning solutions. I wiped down the walls, scrubbed the baseboards and floors until the soapy water turned a frothy pink. I dumped that lot, refilled the bucket, and started over again. When I'd finished, I pulled out the transcript and sat down on the bed, using Danielle's phone to try Hector at his home number. He answered promptly. "This is Kinsey here. I'm glad I caught you at home. I thought you might be on your way to the studio." "Not this early in today, not at all. I work Saturday through Wednesday, so Thursday and Friday nights are usually my weekend. Last night was an exception, but I try to keep those to a minimum. I got hot plans tonight. I give Beauty a bath, and then she gives me one." "You got the transcript, I take it?" "Yeah, and I'm sorry I missed you. I was in the shower when you dropped it off." We spent a few minutes commiserating with one another about the poor quality of the tape recording. "What did you make of it?" "Not much. I picked up a couple of words, but nothing that made any sense." "You have any idea what they're talking about?" "Nope. Lorna sounds upset with him, is mostly what I pick up." "You're sure it's Lorna?" "I couldn't swear, but I'm pretty sure it was her." "What about the guy?" "I didn't recognize his voice. Doesn't sound like anyone I'm familiar with. You ought to listen again yourself and see what you hear. Maybe we can take turns filling in the missing pieces like a jigsaw puzzle." "We don't have to make it our life's work," I said. "I'm not even sure it's relevant, but I'll have another go at it when I get home." I glanced down at the annotated transcript. "What about the word Diffie? That seems odd, doesn't it? Diffie who? And why Stubby?" I wasn't real sure about that one, but it's the only word I could think of. Phrase that keeps running through my head is that business about she goes in at the same time every day. I don't know what the hell that's about. "And why Stubby? Lorna says that, I think." "Well, this may sound odd, but I'll tell you the hit that I got on that. I don't think she's using Stubby as an adjective. There's a guy here in town with the nickname Stubby. She could be talking about him." "That's an interesting possibility. This was someone she knew?" "Presumably. His real name is John Stockton. Call him Stubby because he's a little short fat guy. He's a developer." "Wait a minute." I couldn't. "I just heard that name. I'm almost sure Clark Esselman referred to him. Assuming there's only one, is he a member of the Colgate Water Board?" All right, let's leave it at that and go to our first music break. So on this music break, we have Miss Mia Savage with her band Antidote for Savages. She's going to be singing The Mirror in Crypto, Your Skeleton, Our New Reality, and Let Me Be Your Home. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break.
You don't need him. All the shit that he brings anymore. You're mine. You're mine. Tonight. You're mine.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for joining me this evening on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. So, we've been reading Sue Grafton's Case for Killer. Hope you guys are enjoying it as much as I am. But let's get back to it, shall we? Hector laughed. Whoa, no chance. They'd never let him on board. Talk about a conflict of interest. He'd vote himself into half a dozen get-rich schemes. Oh, well, then it's probably not related. Was she talking to or about him? About him, I'd guess. Actually, there could be some marginal connection. Stockton would have to apply to the water board if he were trying to get a permit for some kind of development. Since Lorna babysat with Esselman, she might have heard about Stubby in passing. Yeah, but so what? In a town like this, you hear about a lot of things. But that doesn't get you killed. How hard is it to get a permit? It's not hard to apply, but with the current water shortage, it'd take a hell of a project to get them to say yes. I said, well, I ran the idea around a couple of laps, but didn't seem to produce any insights. I don't know how that pertains. If they're talking about water, it might tie in somehow with she goes in at the same time every day. Maybe that reference is to swimming? I know Lorna jogged, but did she also swim? Not that I ever heard. Besides, if the guy's talking to Lorna, why refer to her as she? He's got to be talking about someone else, and Stockton doesn't have anything to do with swimming pools.
Hello?
Here's something out there. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Weird. Could be a ghosty, I'm not sure. Okay. Not that I ever heard. Besides, if the guy's talking to Lorna, why refer to her as she? He's got to be talking about someone else, and Stockton doesn't have anything to do with swimming pools. He does malls and subdivisions, he said. With a phrase like that, they could be talking about work. She goes in to work at the same time every day, or she goes into bed at the same time every day. True. Oh well, maybe something will occur to us if we give it a rest. Anything else strike you? I asked. Not really, just that Lorna sounded pissed. I thought so too, which is why I listened so carefully. Whatever the guy's saying, she didn't like it a bit. Ah well, like you say, if it's ever going to make any sense, you'll probably have to leave it alone for a while. If I have a brainstorm, I'll give you a buzz. Well, thanks, Hector. By the time I locked up and returned the key to Danielle's landlord, it was close to 6:45, and the place was looking better. The smell of ammonia suggested an institutional setting, but at least Danielle wouldn't have to come home to shambles. I went out to my car, arms loaded with odds and ends. I set the plastic bucket on the front seat and the passenger side and stuck the bundle of bedcloths on the back seat, along with the paper bag holding the broken picture frames. I slid in behind the steering wheel and sat for a moment, trying to think what to do next. Hector's suggestion about Stubby Stockton as the subject of Lorna's taped conversation was mildly intriguing. From what I'd overheard of Clark Esselman's comments on the phone, Stockton would be present at the upcoming board meeting, which was tonight, by calculations. With luck, maybe I'd run into Serena, and I could quiz her again on the subject of missing money. I found a public payphone at the nearest gas station and looked up the number for the Colgate Water District. It was way past working hours, but the message on the answering machine gave details about the meeting, which was scheduled at 7 in the conference room at the district offices. I hopped in the car, fired up the engine again, and hit the highway heading north. 14 minutes later, I pulled into the parking lot behind the building, uncomfortably aware of a steady stream of cars both ahead of me and behind. Like some kind of car rally, we nosed into parking slots one after the other. I shut my engine down and got out, locked the car behind me. It was easy enough to determine where the meeting was being held simply by following the other attendees. At the back end of the building, I could see lights on, and I trotted in that direction, starting to feel competitive about the available seating spaces. The entrance to the conference room was tucked into a small enclosed patio. Through the plate glass window, I could see the water board members already in place. I went in, anxious to get settled, while there were still seats left. The meeting room was drab and functional. Brown carpet, walls paneled in dark wood veneer, an L of folding tables up front, and 35 folding chairs for audience. There was a big coffee urn on a table to one side, a stack of cups, sugar packets, and a big jar of cremora. The lighting was fluorescent and made all of us look yellow. The Colgate water board consisted of 7 members, each with an engraved plate indicating name and title. Counsel for the Water District, the General Manager, and Chief Engineer, the President, and 4 directors, one of whom was Clark Esselman. The board member named Ned, whom he'd talked to by phone, was apparently Theodore Ramsey, now seated 2 chairs away. The Bob and Drusilla he'd mentioned in passing were Robert Ennisbrook and Drusilla Chatham, respectively. Appropriately enough, the water board members had been provided big pitchers of ice water, and they poured and drank water lustily while discussing its scarcity. Some of the members I knew by name or reputation, but with the exception of Esselman, I didn't recognize any of their faces. Serena was in the front row, fussing with her belongings, and trying to act as if she weren't worried about her father. Esselman in the suit and tie looked frail but determined. He was already engaged in conversation with Mrs. Chatham, the woman to his left. Many people had already assembled, and most of the available folding chairs were filled. I spotted an empty chair and claimed it, wondering what I was doing here. Some attendees had briefcases or legal pads. The man next to me had written out a commentary in longhand, which he seemed to be refining while we waited for the meeting to begin. I turned and checked the rows behind me, all of which were occupied. Through the plate glass window, I could see additional people seated at the picnic table or lounging against the ornamental fence. Speakers on the patio allowed the overflow crowd to hear the proceedings. Copies of the agenda were stacked up front, and I left my seat briefly so that I could snag one for myself. I gathered that members of the audience would be free to address the board. To that end, requests were filled out and submitted. There were many consultations back and forth. People who seemed to know one another, some in small groups, representing a particular petition. I wasn't even sure what the issues were. And scenting the agenda I scanned made it all sound tedious. I wasn't sure that I cared. I wondered if I'd be able to identify Stubby Stockton on sight. A lot of us looked short and fat while seated. At 7:03, the meeting was called to order, with a roll call of board members present. Minutes of the previous meeting were read and approved without modification. Various items on the consent agenda were approved without discussion. Much rustling and coughing and throat clearing throughout. Everyone seemed to speak in a monotone, so that every subject was reduced to its most boring components. Service policies were discussed among the board members in the sort of dry style reserved for congressional filibusters. If anything was actually being accomplished, it was lost on me. What struck me as curious was that Clark Esselman, in his telephone conversation with Ned at the house, had seemed quite passionate. Behind the scenes, feelings apparently ran high. Here, every effort was made to neutralize emotion in the interest of public service. One by one, members of the audience were able to approach the podium, addressing the board members with prepared statements. These they read aloud in their best sing-song public speaking voices, managing somehow to deliver their comments without any spontaneity, humor, or warmth. As in church, the combination of body heat and hot air was bringing the surrounding air temperature up to the aesthetic levels. Or anesthetic, sorry. For someone as sleep-deprived as I'd been for the last 5 days, it was hard to keep from toppling off of my chair sideways. I'm ashamed to confess I actually nodded off once, a sort of dip in consciousness that I became aware of only because my head dropped. It must have happened again because, just as I began to enjoy a much-needed snooze, I was jerked upright by a heated verbal exchange. Belatedly, I realized that I'd missed the opening round. Clark Esselman was on his feet, stabbing a finger at the man at the podium. "It's people like you who are ruining this county." The man he was addressing had to be John Stubby Stockton. He was maybe 5 feet tall and very heavy set, with a round baby face and dark thinning hair. He was a man who perspired heavily, and throughout the interchange he mopped at his face with his handkerchief. "People like me? Oh, really, sir, let's leave personalities out of this. This is not about me. This is not about you. This is about jobs for this community. This is about growth and progress for the citizens of this county. The hogwash. This is about you making money, you damn son of a bitch." This sounds like a really good city council meeting. "You damn son of a bitch. Son of a bitch. What do you care about the citizens of this county? By the time this abomination comes to pass, you'll be well out of it, counting your profits while the rest of us are stuck with this eyesore for centuries to come." Like lovers, Clark Esselman and John Stockton, having once engaged, seemed to have eyes only for each other. The room was electrified. A ripple of excitement undulated through the audience. Stockton's voice was syrupy with loathing. "Sir, at the risk of offending, let me ask you this. What have you done to generate employment or housing or financial security for the citizens of Santa Teresa County?" Would you care to answer that? Don't change the subject, because the answer is nothing. You haven't contributed a stick, not a nickel or a brick, to the fiscal wealth and well-being of the community you live in. That is untrue. That is untrue, Esselman shouted. Stockton forged on. You've blocked economic growth. You've obstructed employment opportunities. You've denounced developments, impeded all progress. And why not? You've got yours. What do you care what happens to the rest of us? We can all go jump in the ocean as far as you're concerned. You're damn right you can jump in the ocean. Go jump in the ocean. Gentlemen, the president had risen. Well, let me tell you something. You'll be long gone, and the opportunity for growth will be long gone. And who's going to pay the price for your failure of imagination? Gentlemen.
I figured out how to open the door when it's not open.
How?
So you take like a thin piece of wood,
Mm-hmm.
you shove it in between the, like, you know that retracting thing?
Yeah.
The retracting thing in that bronze thing that it goes
Mhm.
into. Shove it in between there and then twist and it opens.
Nice.
So basically all you need is just something inside that hole
Right?
to fix the doorknob.
Sounds good to me.
It's already 8:29?
Yeah. I went out there for break and you guys were outside. But you should go because I'm reading a story for story time.
Yeah, I see Ned's being out there for that long.
I know, she's so cute. Did you guys put her back in the coop? Did she?
Coop?
Well, yeah. In that one coop she was in?
No.
Oh, where'd you guys put her?
In the box in her room.
Oh. Well, she probably would like that better. Anyways, love you, boy.
Me too.
The president was banging his gavel on the table without any particular effectiveness. Serena was on her feet, but her father was waving her aside with a kind of peremptory motion that had probably intimidated her from childhood. What?
That blood flew all over the room.
Yeah, that was like a few pages ago. Anyways, go on, get out. Go. Go on, man. Maybe hiss at you like Gauzy's gonna do in the future.
She is a hissing goose.
She could be. Go on now. Seriously, get out. Go now. Go.
Oh, look, I'm Zoe.
Yeah, it's alright. I can imagine it. No, dude, go away. Oh, good job. Thanks. Freaking crazy kid. Okay, so, I saw her sink back down while he shouted, trembling, "Save your speeches for the Rotary, young man. I'm sick of listening to this self-serving poppycock. The truth is, you're in this for the almighty buck, and you know it. If you're so interested in growth and economic opportunity, then donate the land and all the profits you stand to make. Don't hide behind rhetoric. You donate. Why don't you give something? You've got more than the rest of us put together. And don't talk to me about hiding behind rhetoric, you pompous ass." A uniformed security guard materialized at Stockton's side and took him by the elbow. Stockton shook him off, enraged, but a business associate appeared on the other side of him, and between the two of them, he was eased out of the room. Esselman remained on his feet, his eyes glittering with anger. In the general swell of side conversations that followed, I leaned over to the man next to me. I hate to seem ignorant, but what was that about? I'm gonna turn this down. John Stockton's trying to get water permits for a big parcel of land he wants to turn around and sell to Marcus Petroleum. I thought stuff like that had to go through the county board of supervisors, I said. It does. It was approved last month by a 5-0 vote on the condition that they use reclaimed water from the Colgate Water District. It looked like it was going to pass without opposition, but now Esselman is mounting a counterattack. But why all the heat? Well, Stockton's got some land the old companies would love to have, all worthless without water. Esselman supported him at first, but now he's suddenly opposed. Stubby feels betrayed. I thought back to the phone call that I'd overheard. Esselman had mentioned the boards being sweet-talked into some kind of deal while he was in the hospital. Was Stockton working on this while Esselman was out ill? You bet. Damn near succeeded too. Now that he's back, he's using every ounce of influence to get the application turned down. The woman in front of us turned and gave us a look of reproach. There's still business going on here, if you don't mind. Sorry. The president of the board was trying desperately to establish order. Through the audience, didn't seem particularly interested. I put my hand across my mouth. "Have they voted on this?" I said in a lower tone. The guy shook his head. "This issue came up a year ago. And the water board set up a blue ribbon panel to investigate and make recommendations. They had environmental impact studies done. You know how it is, mostly a stalling technique in hopes the whole thing would go away. The matter won't actually come to a vote until next month. That's why they're still here, hearing testimony on the subject." The woman in front of us raised a finger to her lips, and her conversation dwindled. In the meantime, Esselman sat down abruptly. His color high, Serena went down around the end of the table and joined him on his side, much to his displeasure. Stubby Stockton was nowhere to be seen, but I could hear him on the patio, his voice still raised in anger. Someone was trying to calm him, but without much success. The meeting picked up again, the president moving adroitly to the next item on the agenda, a fire sprinkler system agreement that didn't upset anyone. By the time I slipped out, Stockton was gone and the patio was empty. Chapter 18. It's funny, like, when you see pages bent, this one was bent. So I drove to St. Terry's, stopping to fill my car with gas on the way. I knew I'd reach the hospital after visiting hours had ended, but ICU had its own set of rules and regulations. Family members were allowed 1 5-minute visit out of every hour. The hospital was brightly lit as a resort hotel, and I was forced to circle the block looking for a parking space. I moved through the lobby and took a right turn, heading for the elevators to the intensive care unit upstairs. Once I reached the floor, I used the wall-mounted phone to call into the ward. The night shift nurse who answered was polite but didn't recognize my name. She put me on hold without actually verifying Danielle's presence in the ward. I studied the pastel seascape hanging on the wall. Moments later, she was back on the phone with me, this time using a friendlier tone. Cheney had apparently left word that I was to be admitted. She probably thought I was a cop. I stood in the hallway and watched Danielle through the window to her room. Her hospital bed had been elevated to a slight incline. She seemed to doze, her long dark hair fanned out across the pillow and trailed over the side of the bed. The bruising on her face seemed more pronounced tonight, the white tape across her nose a stark contrast to the swollen, sooty-looking black and blue eye sockets. Her mouth was dark and puffy. Her jaw had probably been wired shut because there was none of the slack jaw look of someone sleeping. Her IV was still in place, as was her catheter. "You need to talk to her?" I turned to find the nurse from the night before. "I don't want to bother her," I said. "I have to wake her up anyway to take her vital signs. You might as well come in. Just don't upset her." "I won't. How's she doing?" "She's doing pretty well. She's in a lot of pain. And she's on a lot of pain medication, but she's been awake off and on. In another day or two, we could probably move her down to medical, but we think she's safer up here." I stood quietly beside the bed while the nurse took Danielle's blood pressure and her pulse, adjusting the drip on her IV. Danielle's eyes came open in that groggy, confused fashion of someone who can't quite remember why she is or why this is happening. So the nurse made a note in the chart and left the room. Danielle's green eyes shone stark in the cloudy mass of bruises around her eyes. I said, "Hi, how are you?" "I've been better," she said through her teeth. "Got my jaw wired shut. That's why I'm talking like this." "I figured as much. Are you in pain?" "Nah, I'm high." She smiled briefly, not moving her head. "I never saw the guy, in case you're wondering. All I remember is opening the door." "Not surprising," I said. "It may come back in time." "Hope not." "Yeah. Tell me if you get tired. I don't want to wear you down." "I'm okay. I like the company. What have you been up to?" "Not much. I'm on my way home from a meeting at the water board." "What a zoo." "The old guy Lorna used to sit for got into a big shouting match with a developer named Stubby Stockton. The rest of the meeting was such a bore until then, it nearly put me to sleep." Danielle made a murmuring sound to show she was listening. Her lids seemed heavy, and I thought she was close to nodding off herself. I'd hoped Stubby's name would spark some recognition, but maybe Danielle didn't have a lot of spark to spare. "Did Lorna ever mention Stubby Stockton to you?" I wasn't sure she even heard me. There was quiet in the room, and then she seemed to rouse herself. "Client," she said. "He was a client?" I said, startled. I thought about that for a moment, trying to process the information. That surprises me somehow. He didn't seem like her type. When was this? "Long time. I think she only saw him once. Other guy's the one." "What other guy?" "Old guy." "The one what?" "Lorna screwed." "Oh, I don't think so. You must have him mixed up with somebody else. Clark Esselman is Serena Bonnie's father. He's the old guy she babysat." She moved her good hand, looking at the bedclothes. "You need something?" "Water." I looked over at the rolling table. On it was a styrofoam pitcher full of water, a plastic cup, and a plastic straw with an accordion section that created a joint about halfway down. You okay to drink this? I don't want you cheating because I don't know any better. She smiled. Wouldn't cheat. Here. I filled the plastic cup and bent the straw, then held the cup near her head, turning the straw at an angle until it touched her lips. She took 3 small sips, sucking slightly. Thanks. You were talking about someone Lorna was involved with? Esselman. You're sure we're talking about the same guy? Boss's father-in-law, right? Well, yeah, but why didn't you tell me before? This could be important. Thought I did. What difference does it make? What difference does it make? Fill me in and we'll see what difference. He was into kinky. She winced, trying to rearrange herself slightly in the bed. A spasm of pain seemed to cross her face. You okay? You don't have to talk about this right now. I'm fine. Ribs feel like shit is all. Rest a minute. I waited thinking kinky. I pictured Esselman getting his fanny spanked while he cavorted around in a garter belt. I could see Danielle struggle to pull herself together. She went there after his heart attack, but he came on to her. Said she about fell over. Not that she gave a shit. Buck's a buck, and he paid her a fortune, but she didn't expect it when he seemed so proper. I'll bet. And his daughter never knew? No one did. Then later, Lorna let information slip. She said word got back, and that's the last that she saw of him. She felt bad. Daughter wanted to hire her, but old guy wouldn't have it. What do you mean, word got back? Who'd she let the information slip to? Don't know. After that, she was tight-lipped. Said you only have to learn that lesson once. Behind me, someone said, Excuse me. Danielle's ICU nurse was back. I don't mean to seem rude, but could you wrap it up? The doctors really don't want her having more than 5-minute visits. I understand, that's fine. I looked back at Danielle. We can talk about this later. You get some rest. Right. Danielle's eyes closed again. I stayed with her for another minute. More for my sake than hers. And then I eased out of the room. The aide at the nurse's station watched my departure. I found myself uncomfortably trying to conjure up an image of Lorna Kepler with Clark Esselman. And kinky? What a thought. It wasn't his age so much as his aura of formality. I couldn't find a way to reconcile his respectability with his alleged sexual proclivities. He'd probably been married to Serena's mother for 50 years or more. This all must have happened before Mrs. Esselman died. We made a 6-block detour to Short's Drugs, where I purchased 4 8x10 picture frames to replace the broken frames I'd bought and brought with me from Danielle's. Lorna and Clark Esselman. What an odd combination. The drugstore seemed filled with the same conflicting images. Arthritis remedies and condoms. Bedpans and birth control. While I was at it, I picked up a couple of packs of index cards and then I went back to my place, trying to think about something else. I would hope so. Jeez, oh Pete. Hey Jay. Hey Sandra. Good to see you guys. 10 minutes ago. I parked, flipped the driver's seat forward, and hauled the banker's box full of Lorna's papers from under Danielle's blood-spattered clothes. For someone obsessive about the tidiness in my apartment, I seemed to have no compunction at all about the state of my car. I piled my purchases on the box and anchored the load with my chin while I let myself in. I settled in at my desk. I hadn't transcribed the consolidated my notes. Hold on, let me look. Make sure the sound is on. Looks good. Alright. Alright, where are we? Oh, green giant. I just bit my tongue. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Okay, found it. Found it! Alright, so I settled in at my desk. I hadn't transcribed or consolidated my notes since the second day I was on the job, and the index cards I'd filled then seemed both scanty and inept. Information accumulates and compounds layer upon layer, each affecting perception. Using my notebook, my calendar, gas slips, receipts, and plane ticket, I began to construct the events between Tuesday and today, detailing my interviews with Lorna's boss, Roger Bonney, Joseph Ayers, and Russell Turpin, up in Los Angeles, aka more near San Francisco. Trini Serena, Clark Esselman, and the alleged attorney in the limo. Now I had to add Danielle's contention about Lorna's involvement with Clark Esselman. That one I'd have to check out if I could figure out how. I could hardly ask Serena. Actually, it cheered me to see how much ground I'd covered. In 5 days, I constructed a fairly comprehensive picture of Lorna's lifestyle. I found myself getting absorbed in my recollections. As fast as I filled cards, I tacked them on the board, a hodgepodge of miscellaneous facts and impressions. It was when I went back through Lorna's finances, transferring data from the schedule of assets, that I caught something I'd missed. Tucked into the file with her stock certificates was the itemized list of jewelry she'd insured. There were 4 pieces listed: a necklace of matching garnets, a matching garnet bracelet, a pair of earrings, and a diamond watch. The appraised value totaling $28,000. Holy shnikes, that's a lot. $28,000? Excuse me? Wow. So the earrings were described as graduated stones, 1/2 to 1 carat diamonds set in double hoops. I'd seen them before, but only Berlin had been wearing them, and I'd assumed that they were rhinestones. I checked the time. It was nearly 11, and I was startled to discover I'd been working for almost 2 hours. Really? I picked up the phone and called the Kepler's house, hoping it wasn't too late. Mace answered. What a dick. Hated talking to him. I could hear some kind of televised sporting event blasting away in the background. Probably a prize fight from the sound of the crowd. I stuck a finger up one nostril to disguise my voice. Hi, Mr. Kepler. Is Berlin there, please? Who's this? Marcy, I'm a friend. I was over there last week. Yeah, well, she's out. Her and Trini both. You know where she's at? We were supposed to meet up, but I forgot where she was. What did you say your name was? Marcy. Is she over at the palace? There was an ominous silence from him while in the background, someone was really getting pounded. I'll tell you this, Marcy. She better not be over there. She's over at the palace. She's in big trouble with her dad. Is that where she said to meet? No. But I was willing to bet money that that's where she was. I hung up, I pushed the paperwork aside, shrugged into my jacket, and found my bag, pausing only long enough to run a comb through my hair. When I opened my front door, a man was standing just outside. Creaky! I leapt back, shrieking, before I saw who it was. Shit, JD, what are you doing here? He scared the hell out of me. He jumped too, about the same time I had, and now sagged against the doorframe. Well, damn, you scared me. I was all set to knock when you came flying out. He had a hand on his chest. Hang on, my heart's pounding. Sorry if I scared you. I know, I should have called. I just took a chance that I'd see you here. How'd you find out where I live? You gave Lita this card and wrote it right here on the back. You mind if I come in? All right, if you can keep it brief, I said. I was on my way out. I've got something to take care of. I moved back from the door and watched him edge his way in. don't like the idea of just anyone waltzing through my place. If I hadn't had some questions for him, I might have left him on the doorstep. His outfit looked like the one that I'd seen him in before, but then again, so did mine. Both of us wore faded jeans and blue denim jackets. He still sported cowboy boots to my running shoes. I closed the door behind him and moved to the kitchen counter, hoping to keep him away from my desk. Like most people who see my apartment for the first time, he looked around with interest. Pretty slick, he said. I indicated a stool, sneaking a look at my watch. Have a seat. This is okay, I can't stay long anyway. I'd offer you something, but about all I've got is uncooked pasta. You like rotelli, by any chance? Don't worry about it, I'm fine, he said. I perched on one stool and left the other for him, in case he changed his mind. He seemed ill at ease, standing there with both hands stuck in the back pockets of his jeans. His gaze would hit mine and then flicker off. The light in my living room wasn't as kind to his face as the light in his own kitchen. Or maybe the unfamiliar surroundings had created new lines of tension. I got tired of waiting to hear what he had to say. Can I help you with something? Yeah, well, Lita said you stopped by. I got home around 7 and she's pretty upset. Really? I said, giving it no inflection. I wonder why. It's this business about the tape. She'd like to have it back, if you don't mind. I don't mind a bit. I moved over to my desk and removed it from the manila envelope that Hector had tucked in. I passed it over to JD, and he put it in his pocket without really looking at it. You have a chance to listen? He asked. He was being way too casual. Briefly, what about you? Well, I know pretty much what's in it. I mean, I knew what she was doing. I said, with a non-committal nod. Inside, a little voice was going, wow, what's this about? This is interesting. Why was she upset? Well, I guess because she doesn't want the police to find out. I told her I wouldn't take it to them, but she's not very trusting, you know. She's kind of insecure. That much I get, JD, I said. I'm just wondering what's got her so uneasy that she'd send you all the way over here. She's not uneasy. She doesn't want you thinking it was me. He shifted his weight from one foot to the other, smiling with embarrassment, using his very best "ah shucks" routine. Didn't want you putting the hairy eyeball on me. Scrutinizing. If there'd been a little dirt on the floor, he'd have stubbed a toe of his boot in it. I scrutinize everyone. It's nothing personal, I said. Fact, since you're here, I have a question for you. Hey, you go right ahead. I got nothing to hide. Someone mentioned that you were into Lorna's cabin before the cops showed up. He frowned. Somebody said that? Wonder who? I don't think it's any secret. Serena Bonnie, I said. He nodded. Well, that's right. See, I knew Lita'd put the mic in there, and I knew about the tape and didn't want the cops to spot it, so I did what I did. I opened the door, leaned down, and flipped the mic off the wire. I wasn't even there a minute, which is why I never thought it to mention it. Well, did Lorna know she was being taped? I never said anything. Tell you the truth, I was embarrassed by Lita's behavior. You know, by her attitude. She treated Lorna kind of snippy. She's young and immature, and Lorna's already given me a hard time about her. If I told her Lita was spying on us, she'd have either laughed her butt off or gotten pissed, and I didn't think it would help their relationship. They had a bad relationship? Well, no, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't that good. Lita was jealous, I suggested. She might have been a little jealous, I guess. So what are you here to tell me? That really everything's alright between you and Lita? And neither one of you had any reason to want Lorna out of the way, right? It's the truth. I know you think somehow I had something to do with it. You know, Lorna's death. How could I think that? You told me you were out of town. That's right, and she was too. I was set to go fishing with my brother-in-law, and at the last minute she decided to go up Santa Maria with me while I picked him up. She said she'd rather hang out with her sister than stay here by herself. Why are you repeating all this stuff? I don't get it. Because you act like you don't believe us. Gosh, JD, how could I fail to believe you when you provide such nice alibis for each other? It's not an alibi, now god damn it. How can I be an alibi when all I'm doing is telling you where we were? Whose vehicle did you take to Lake Nacimiento? He hesitated. My brother-in-law has a truck. We took that. Santa Maria is an hour away. How do you know Lita didn't drive back in your car? I don't for sure, but you could ask her sister. She'd tell you. Right. No, she would. Oh, come on. If you'd lie for Lita, why wouldn't her sister lie too? Somebody else must have seen her on Saturday. I think she said they had a makeup party that morning. You know, where some cosmetic sales lady comes and does facials on everyone, so they'll buy Mary Jane products or whatever it is. You don't have to get mad, Mary Kay, but you're right. I shouldn't get mad. I told Lita that I'd verify all of this. I haven't had a chance to do it, so it's my fault, not yours. Now I see. I don't know how you do that. Even when you apologize, you make it sound like you don't mean it. Why are you being so cranky with me? JD, I'm cranky because I'm in a hurry and I don't understand what you're up to. I'm not up to anything. I just came to get the tape. I thought while I was here I'd, discuss it. Anyway, you're the one that asked me. I didn't volunteer. Now it seems like I made it worse. Okay, I accept that. Let's let it go at that. Otherwise, we'll be standing around all night explaining ourselves to one another. Okay, long as you're not mad at me. Not a bit. And you believe me? I never said that. I said I accept it. Oh well, okay then. Guess that's okay. I could feel my eyes begin to cross. Ooh, E.T. Shane. As the drama gets deeper. Drama for drama. So I think we have 2 more chapters to go before we're done with this book. Let me see. I was hoping we'd get through it tonight, but yeah. We've got 2 more chapters. Please. So on this break, we are going to once again hear from Miss Mia Savage with her band, which is her, just like Trent Reznor, Antidote for Savages. If you want to check her out, go over to Instagram and look up Antidote for Savages. You'll find her there. She's got some really awesome music going on, if you haven't heard it already. Bury Me in Heaven is one of my favorites. Not a Phase, Singing to Your Grave, and The Bottom Line. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break.
nada. Because it's just a ride, and we can change it anytime we want.
Totally a choice. No record, no work, no job, no savings of money.
Just a choice right now between fear and love. Choice right now between fear and love.
Hello. Thanks for joining me tonight. We are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. I must say, you look magnificent tonight. So during our third hour, we shared a video together. And this video is pretty amazeballs, I'm assuming, just because this guy always does a really good job. I haven't watched this video yet. I shared it for us to watch together, so I hope you have a nice drink ready, some company popcorn, and a woolly blanket, whatever you need to get going. Oh man, okay, hold on. It's processing. Hello? Hello? What is happening? What is happening? Okay. It's not, okay, there we go. Sorry. Like, it's not sharing what's happening. Okay, so, while it's loading, this is by That Is Impossible. Make sure you go over there. Please subscribe to his channel and watch his videos. Like I said, he does a very epic job on his videos, so make sure you tune in, like his videos, please subscribe.
In just a few moments.
Holy crap! Oh man, we're having fish for dinner.
Look at that streak across the sky, y'all. It's 2:48 in the morning.
What the crap is that?
It's flying around, just in case it starts doing weird movements.
That looks like an angel.
You zoomed in?
Yeah.
Somebody's walking around out there very close to the tent.
I have an update regarding the time traveler.
Mess around with my little
so
sister's
weird.
camera, and we just found something. Look at her face.
Hi, I'm James Alfer and you're watching the Impossible Channel. Welcome aboard.
Hi, James.
Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with notifications on for more videos like this. Today we're going to be taking a look at mind-blowing phenomena caught on camera. From the unexplained videos of a supposed time traveler that was caught on camera this week, to a mysterious stone with supernatural powers that was uncovered deep in the woods in Brazil. These and many more creepy videos of encounters in the woods, unexplained glitches, and paranormal activity. Are you guys ready? Well, let's go. just picture the following situation. It's a beautiful and sunny day outside, and you're with your friends or family and you decide to go for a walk. Everyone is expecting to have a great time, and this is exactly what happens up until the moment that you look high up in the sky and you spot what looks like some sort of metallic object.
I was recording video, but then it disappeared. Where'd it go?
Oh my gosh, look at that! It's the fucking seagulls! Just kidding, it's not. What are those?
Just in case it starts doing weird movements.
So you get your camera, you zoom in, and it's not an object. It's nothing
Sweet Billy.
like you've ever seen before. Exactly what happened with a family in San Antonio, Texas a while ago, when they spotted what looked like some sort of flying humanoid with wings. This is what they caught on camera. Check this out.
Where'd it go?
Yeah, where the heck is it? Oh, I see it. Where'd it go? Zoom in! It's so hard to get things to focus on things like this. Oh my goodness. Oh wow.
What is that?
What the crack is that? Is it a balloon?
Huh.
Could be a mylar balloon. I don't know, this really weird shape, whatever it is.
Yeah. Looks almost like an angel.
You zoomed in?
Looks like a giant Johnson! What the crap is that?
Look at it.
At this moment, the family captures what looks like a giant winged creature, and what's really strange about it is that its wings seem to be shining. In other words, it seems like it could be metallic. What's even weirder is that its movement seems to be organic, so it's not a drone or anything.
But weird.
What makes it is that it seems
Actually, I don't know.
Holy crack. What the heck is that? It's like a skyworm.
Since 2017, creatures like this one have been sighted all over the world, mainly in Lake Michigan, Illinois, New Jersey, Spain, and Chile.
And they saw what looked like a very large man, 6 or 7 feet tall. And looking back, this thing rose up in the air and followed their car. And they were going over 60 miles an hour.
In most sightings, people describe seeing what looks like a large bat or bird-like
know if you know, but Mothman is
glowing
rough.
eyes and humanoid features. And in ancient culture, there's loads of myths of winged creatures that can fly. After being posted, the video amassed millions of views and thousands of comments, and people were divided. Some believe that this is just a bird or maybe
Yeah, I believe that was the Anunnaki.
while others state
That was
that
in
this
that
is
picture.
possibly an angel
It's a bird,
or some
it's
sort
plain.
of unknown humanoid creature. What's really creepy about this is the amount of people who claim to have seen something similar. But when it comes to strange things in the sky, it doesn't stop there.
Oh my goodness. Somebody blew a really big vape ring. Oh wow.
Yo creo. Okay.
Wow.
On April this year, at approximately 2:30 a.m. in the morning, a woman goes outside and notices something strange in the sky. She gets her camera and immediately starts recording what was about to become one of the strangest videos when it comes to mysterious lights in the sky. Check this out.
Look at that streak across the sky, y'all.
Is that Aurora Borealis? What is that?
What the f is that?
What the crack is that?
Long streak across the sky here at 2:48 a.m.
Weird.
I'm just getting home from my gig at Swig.
Why is that car sitting there like
And I
that? That is
noticed
so
something
weird.
in the sky. I'm like, I ain't never seen nothing like that. No rainbow, nothing like that in the sky.
It's like
at
Aurora
night.
Borealis, baby.
In the early morning, wee hours of the morning. What the?
That's amazing. And it's so pretty.
Hey, y'all. Feedback? Tell me what's going on.
I don't know, sister.
But yeah, that's what's going on in the night sky here.
Weird.
Parker said early in the morning. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I got that on film.
What looks like a huge streak of light can clearly be seen in the night sky. The location is unknown, but several people believe that this could be in Arizona or maybe in Utah. After being posted, several people left comments stating that this is possibly a light strobe or maybe a spotlight coming in from a party or an event on the ground. Others believe that this could be the aurora due to the fact there will be a strange magnetic anomaly going on in the US that could actually make the aurora visible in certain states. Others believe that this could be some sort of portal or maybe a time rift opening up in the sky. Now at first, this might sound far-fetched, but if we take into consideration certain strange sightings that happened this month, like this one for instance from Buenos Aires, Argentina, where a person captured what looks like some sort of portal-like object high up in the sky.
It's about to rip open
It could
a hole
just
in
be
the
something
universe.
strange going on. We're not aware
Sorry, I
of it.
got excited.
But I'm not too sure. What's your take? Do you think that this could be just a spotlight or something like that? Or is it something else entirely?
Looks like Aurora Borealis, except for it's not moving. It's freaking weird.
Have you ever heard of the Philosopher's Stone or out-of-place artifacts?
Yes.
Back in the 1400s, a French manuscript scholar by the name of Nicolas Flamel developed a reputation of being an alchemist, and a pretty good
His
one.
head's kind of flat.
And at the time, he claimed to have discovered the Philosopher's Stone, a stone that was known to have supernatural capabilities. Now, the legend of the Philosopher's Stone begins somewhere in ancient Egypt, and it tells of a substance that can turn any metal into gold and grant eternal life. Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's most interesting is that very little is known about the Philosopher's Stone, its origin, where it came from, and how it all started. Now, even though it's considered a myth or just a bad time story,
What the heck is
to this
that?
day,
That is so
researchers and
weird.
archaeologists are still in search for evidence of this mysterious stone. And just a couple of weeks ago, a treasure hunter by the name of John Ventura was deep in the woods somewhere in Brazil when all of a sudden he came across this mysterious stone. Check this out.
Oh, wow.
Tava quente, John. Não, tá gelado. Tá gelado?
No, it's cold.
Ué?
What?
Credo? Não, tá esquentando, cara. Tá esquentando.
It's getting hotter. Uh-oh.
Caramba, tá quente mesmo.
Yeah.
Tá mesmo, cara.
Weird.
Vai pegar nela. Caraca, que coisa, cara. Ela esquenta. Ó, põe aqui lá. Ó. Ó, não sei se tá precisando. Ó, ó lá do bolinho lá, ó.
Goodness.
Ó. Não é possível, cara. Ela ficou bem vermelha, cara. Olha isso. Olha, ficou vermelha.
That is crazy.
Vermelha. Mudou a cor, ó. O cameraman pegou legal, ó. Gente do céu.
While metal detecting somewhere in the woods in Brazil, they came across this wooden box with certain details in gold, and inside of it was this rock. Whatever this thing is, it apparently can change color and temperature when someone touches it, or when it comes in contact with water.
Tá voltando a cor. Tá voltando. Ó, gente.
Oh, yeah, it's kind of misty in the middle, then it gets like brighter and brighter. That's interesting.
In this particular part of the video, we can see it heating up the water. And then, when you put it back into the box, it gets colder, and you can clearly see it changing color. Up until this moment, there's not much information on what this mysterious rock could be, but I'm guessing that this is most likely some sort of ancient artifact, maybe even related to ancient myths of underground cities hidden deep within the Amazon forest. After being posted, the video amassed millions of views and caught a lot of attention. Many internet users believe that this could be the Philosopher's Stone, while others state that this is a carnelian crystal, and some others believe that this is red mercury. Tales about this supernatural substance known as red mercury began circulating back in the 1940s, and it was said to be a material so valuable and so dangerous that it was only handled by top-level leaders and scientists. There are many theories about its composition, but to this day, no one really knows what it's made of or if it actually exists. However, there are many videos out there of people who claim to have a hold of this mysterious substance known as red mercury.
Freddie
In most
Mercury.
cases, these artifacts are said to have originated from pharaonic times in ancient Egypt. And most of the times, these artifacts have very similar supernatural properties.
Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Is that how the sea turned red, or the river? Oh my gosh. This is so freaking weird.
When in contact with water and certain liquids, it heats them up. It interferes with electronic devices.
Wow. It's like a magnet, but not. But it's so creative.
Reflect on a mirror.
What? Oh my gosh, that is so freaking weird.
Among many other strange properties, which begs the question, if this is indeed real, is this alien-like artifact actually from Earth? Or was it made by an advanced civilization that may have inhabited this planet somewhere in the past?
Anunnaki?
If the stone that was supposedly found by John Ventura in Brazil is indeed red mercury, I'm not exactly sure.
It's crazy they have a name
It does seem
for
to
it.
have some strange properties.
Why is it
Do you
called
think
that?
this could be the Philosopher's Stone, red mercury, or something else entirely? What's your take?
I don't know, I'd call it Freddie. Freddie Mercury!
Now, I don't know if you know about this, but every year around 38 million people go camping just in the US alone.
Oh yeah.
That's quite a lot of people. And from all of these people, some of them
Go
choose
camping,
to go
not
stealth
glamping.
camping, which is a bit different. Now, stealth camping is about living temporarily in a location, usually for recreation, in a covert or secretive fashion. And for the past few months, a YouTube channel by the name of the Northwest Wind has been doing videos focused on stealth camping. And in most of them, things go just about right.
Boot camp,
But
but
in one
during combat
particular
training,
video, he decides to go camping deep in the woods next to a park.
Rain today. There's only 2 other cars parked over there right now. People come jog here, come ride their bikes here. It is a dog park.
It's a cloudy day, and Sam is prepared to spend the night in the woods. He expects things to go smoothly, but they don't. This is what happens.
I'm scared.
So that was the end of the official trail. There's all kinds of unofficial trails that go all through these woods. It's a couple hundred acres. Don't think you're allowed to camp back here, but I'm not camping. I'm just going to lay my head for the night in a stealthy way.
After walking for about 15 minutes, he decides to set up his tent. He notices, however, that there's something strange about this particular spot.
Looks pretty nice up here.
Looks like a good camping spot for sure.
For the evening.
Well, look at that, by that tree. All these different branches, those things tucked against the tree.
What do you know?
That's gotta be like Bigfoot's house or something.
That kind of sketches me out.
What the fuck is that? A tent that was destroyed?
So that's the remains of the tent.
I wonder if there's a body in there.
That means somebody's camped back here before?
And ran away?
At
Maybe
this
you
point,
shouldn't
we
be
can
there?
see Sam having second thoughts about camping at this
shit.
particular
No,
spot.
I would not.
But
I
after
would
observing
not.
the
I would pick
surroundings,
someplace
he camps
else.
there anyway. And this
Oh my
is
goodness.
what happens.
Alright, so
This is freaking crazy.
somebody just walked by. I don't know if they had a dog or not, but they definitely didn't see me, but I could barely see them. The tent does not sit high at all. I've been sitting on my belly case. One thing I don't like is the low ceiling.
I just heard a voice. Did you hear that male voice?
After setting up the tent, he vlogs for a while and then he
hear
goes
that?
to sleep.
I heard
and
that.
this is when things take a really strange turn.
There's somebody. Hang on. I don't know if they can see it or not through the tent. I don't think so. I'm leaning right up against the light, but somebody's
It's
walking
crazy.
around. They're very close to the tent.
Things get strange and creepy real quick. Sam, now completely desperate and anxious, tries to talk to whomever or whatever is outside. And this is what happens.
Hello? Hello?
He was touching his tent.
Hello?
Oh, shit.
Alright, I don't like this. Hello?
Me neither, and I'm not even there.
They're touching my tent. They're right outside the tent.
Hey, Marvin.
Hello? I'm in here. Hello?
Yeah. Let's kiss their ass.
I'm getting out of here. Hello?
Oh my gosh. You're braver than I.
This is where we're getting out of here. Hang on. Hello? Okay, they're...
I couldn't Rambo it like that.
What do you want? What do you want?
Your soul.
I have a knife. Where's my knife?
Now, pretty scared, Sam reaches for everything inside of his tent with the intention of leaving this place as fast as possible. When he goes outside,
I need to get all my
this
studies
will
done tonight, but I can't.
They collapsed my tent on me.
Can't do it on my own.
Which way they went?
Can we take showers tomorrow?
No.
I promise I will.
No.
They went this way.
Why?
I see you.
Why?
Get away!
Tomorrow is school. Right?
Please do what I
I'm
asked.
spooked. I don't like this. Get my headlamp on the wall.
But it's 9:36 already.
They collapsed my tent on me and pulled the fly off while I was still in there. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. Alright, they're moving again. I don't know. I'm getting out of here. We're going. I'll come back for this some other time. Alright, get the hell out of here. I'm leaving. Don't follow me.
Run for your life,
I don't
dude.
know which way to get out of here.
At this point, Sam gets the heck out of there as fast as possible, so he starts running towards his car. The only problem is, whomever or whatever was there outside his tent seems to be following him. Check this out.
Oh man.
Hang on, is this still recording? Is it still recording? Is it still recording?
Yeah.
Right at the edge of the wood line. It's about 150 yards away. Hang on.
What is that?
You see that? I see you!
What is that?
I can see you!
What the heck is that?
Oh, it's getting bigger. It's getting bigger. Alright, let's get...
Oh my
I don't know if
gosh.
they're like after me or something, or what the
That's creepy, whatever it is. I don't know.
We're getting... It's getting bigger. They're coming this way. Holy I don't like this. I'm calling the police!
Wow.
After a few minutes, he reaches his car and gets the heck out of there safely.
Okay.
What is it? I've called the
We're getting out of here.
police.
To this day, Sam does not know whom or what was following him around.
It's so creepy. Oh man.
My phone, everything's muddy, disgusting. My knee, I'm soaked. I gotta go home. Alright, let's drive out.
I want to know your
Get the
thoughts.
hell out of there.
What would you have done differently in this situation? Since the dawn of civilization, humanity
Probably
has
done the
always
same
been
thing.
captivated by mysterious and unexplained phenomena. Think about it. 500 years ago, people had virtually no means to verify their encounters with the inexplicable, whether it was a bizarre creature or a beam of light descending from the sky.
What? No. Am I tripping? You cannot tell me that it's not floating.
Like for instance, this very strange video posted by the Dashman. In it, you can see some sort of anomaly going on in the lake. It's as if there's something invisible bending the fog and the lake. Now, even though some people say that this is a natural phenomena, others believe that this could be a glitch in the Matrix. But this is definitely something that if you showed your friends or family, they would not believe it unless they saw it with their own eyes. The ability to capture such events and share them with friends, family, or even the world is very recent. But something that I've come to notice is that even in our modern era, equipped with CCTV cameras capturing our every move, there's very little video evidence of the existence of time travel, or at least that was the case until last week.
Coming onto my property to what looks like rob my house,
I
but
saw
it actually
this.
turns out
Just a couple of weeks ago,
That's
Alex
crazy.
Shaw posted a very strange video to his account.
Yes.
Now, normally
it
Alex
is
posts
very
videos
strange.
related to his real estate business. But in one particular video, just about 2 weeks ago on April 28th, something really strange happened at an Airbnb that he has in Miami. Something that he couldn't
Oh my
explain.
gosh, man.
This is
Super
what caught on camera.
creepy.
coming onto my property to what looks like rob my house, but it actually turns out he is a time traveler. So as you can see, he's wandering around my backyard.
He looks
I don't know
exactly
what
at the camera.
he's trying to do. Now he's like thinking like, where to go, and he actually ends up going into my shed. So you can see he opens it, goes
Up
into
in the
the
corridor
shed.
here.
So I'm fast forwarding the time so you can see there's no movement. He never leaves the shed. And I'm talking on the camera. I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Why are you in my shed? He never answers. He never leaves the shed. I literally was watching it the whole time. So I end up calling the police. You can see in the last one, the police coming through the front yard. And then here's the police coming into the backyard. And you can see they literally go inside. They go inside, and I'm talking to them.
Hey, can you hear me? Yes, sir. Hello? Okay. Yeah, I can hear you.
At this point, Alec talks to the policeman through his Ring camera, and this is what happens.
Okay. Was he not in that shed?
No, he was not. There's nobody in there. Both sheds.
What the? Okay, I'm sorry for wasting your guys' time. I really didn't see him leave the shed though, so I don't know why he's not in there.
At this point, policemen check the shed once more, and there's absolutely no trace at all of the young man who went inside. It's as if he disappeared into thin air. Alec then posts a full video with sound of the young man going inside the shed.
So this is a full video with sound, so you hear if he talks. He does talk at some point here. I've watched this so many times to see, but you can see him like wandering around, like he throws up his arms. He's about to talk. See, he talks right there. He says, like, what is he looking for? Like, he's being super mysterious, and then he goes into the shed.
At this point, the young man goes into the shed, and according to Alec's Ring cameras, he never comes out. The same day, policemen check the shed, and there's no one there. Strange, isn't it? But it gets even stranger. The next day, Alec's Ring cameras capture an older person leaving the shed, as if materialized out of thin air.
So the time traveler leaves the shed the next day and goes off screen. And a lot of people think I'm hiding the front camera footage of him leaving because they think this is a skit. So let's look at the front camera and see where he goes. To the front camera, you can see him walking to the front. But yeah, he's looking sus. He walks out the gate. He's looking back at the house. Like, I don't know what he's looking at. You know, suspiciously crosses the street. And then there's a car here.
This is when something really odd happens. The old man looks inside the car as if he's looking for someone or something, but apparently there's no one inside.
And he like looks through the passenger window, and then it's gonna stutter a little bit because it's going between clips. But he looks through the passenger window and then just continues walking.
A few moments later, however, the car turns on, makes a U-turn, and goes the same direction as the old man, as if it was waiting for him.
Now this part's a little creepy because when he looked through the car, it looked like nobody was in the car. Like that car was sitting there for a little bit.
I saw somebody driving.
Really strange, isn't it? But here's where things get even stranger. Alec's videos caught a lot of attention. The internet was divided. Some people believe that this is the real deal, while others think that this is a very elaborate hoax, and it could be. But then, an internet profile by the name of Matty Istrance started digging around, so he did a reverse search on the old man. And what he found may actually prove that this is not some elaborate hoax.
It looks like those glasses.
Same guy. Just
and when you search the image, it looks like this guy, Stephen Albert Miller. And that's his picture from Quora, where he asks questions about time.
So Matty does a reverse search and comes across Stephen Miller, who studied at Harvard University and was very interested in time travel. What a coincidence, isn't it? But it doesn't stop there.
I also found an obituary for Stephen Albert Miller from 2018, July of 2018, and there was only one person that posted like a little tribute, and there it is right there. So I searched that person in the Book of Faces, found another tribute, but this one is dated 2017.
What?
Saying that he died in 2018.
To make things even stranger, Matty also found an interview with Stephen Miller.
Steve also had a design, like a graphic design website. Very in-depth interview with him.
They say it's
very
not them. They say
interested
it's us.
in sound, like frequencies and resonance, and metaphysical transference of consciousness.
He also came across a website that states that Stephen Miller had a house in Florida.
But the shed
Stephen
is
Miller
located
from Stephen Miller
in
Band.
Florida. Steve also has a previous address of Sarasota, Florida.
Okay.
Now, if Stephen Miller is indeed a time traveler or not, I'm not exactly sure, and I guess that no one is.
Yeah.
But if we slow-mo and replay both videos of the young man going inside the shed,
Yeah, as the young guy goes in there, and then the old man comes out. And the cops even go and check it out,
the guy getting out,
and there's nobody there.
it seems as if they're legit. There's no explanation to what's going on here. Along with that,
directly at the
there's so many strange coincidences. Could both the young and the older man be the same person? And are they actually Stephen Miller? Or is there something else entirely going on here? But when it comes to unexplained and mysterious glitches caught on camera, it doesn't stop there.
Really?
Yeah, they do.
What's going on?
In this particular video, a security guard notices something strange at 6:45 a.m. in the morning. He was just about to leave his shift on the second floor of a building he works at, when all of a sudden he notices a man standing in the middle of the street. When he checks the security cameras that he notices that something's not right. This is what he saw.
This is what he saw. Okay, what did he see? Oh, really? You can't? Weird. Show that it was, Can you hear it now? Because I muted it because
the security cameras do not seem to be picking anyone up,
hear it now?
even though there's clearly a person standing on the middle of the
Let me
street.
check my settings really quick.
After being posted, several internet users left comments stating that the man was standing at a blind spot. But then others believe that this is possibly a ghost or a spirit due to the fact that the man does not seem to have a shadow. Others also believe that this could be a legit glitch in the Matrix.
Can you still hear it, Lynn?
But it gets
Let me
even
know.
stranger. A couple of friends were enjoying their time at a beach in Brazil when all of a sudden they noticed a shadow being cast on the ground. There was nothing to explain it.
Is that better,
Check
Lynn?
this out.
Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, and there's no sound like that. It's so weird. Is it still echoing, or is it better, Lynn? You know, some clouds like that. Well, yeah, well, there's a shadow, but there's no cloud or anything.
Yeah.
I think it's a UFO that's close.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Lynn. Thanks for letting me know. That's what I'm saying, a cloaked UFO.
After being posted, internet users were divided. Some state that this is a legit glitch in the Matrix, while others state that this is just burned sand. Now, taking into consideration that this is not the first time something like this happens.
I see that shadow.
Yeah, there's no cloud, there's a shadow.
That is crazy.
Isn't it?
Where are the clouds?
It could just be the real
And it
deal.
can't be like-
However, I'm gonna leave it up to you.
can't be like
What do you
the
think is going
big
on here?
mountain
And
that's
have you ever
shadowing
seen
on the
capture a
other
glitch
side.
in the
Yeah,
Matrix
that's
yourself?
weird.
I saw that video earlier, and I think it was on Casper site. It was like, maybe it's because the mountains
Since the very beginning of humanity, it's always
that
been
could be
quite
causing
common for
the
kids
shadow,
to
but
have imaginary friends.
It doesn't
In
have
the
a
not so distant past, it was very common for people to think that these imaginary friends were maybe ghosts or spiritual entities. Nowadays, researchers have come to the conclusion that most imaginary friends are just a coping mechanism for kids to cope with changes, such as stress, moving to a new house, or changing school. And taking into consideration that 60% of people had an imaginary friend during their childhood, it's pretty certain to say that most of the times, imaginary friends are just a figment of people's imagination. But sometimes, it isn't.
Messed around with my little sister's camera.
Oh no.
And I just found something.
I don't know if you've seen this one, but I've seen it before.
It's weird.
It's super freaking
It was
creepy.
late
She's
one
talking
night,
about
and Charity Lewis was watching the vlog-type videos her young sister had been recording for the past few days. And all of a sudden, this happens.
Skibbity toilet.
It's
Like,
weird.
is this skibbity, this
Okay,
skibbity, blah, blah, blah.
I'm just gonna show
She's
it
sitting
to
there
you.
explaining it, all of a
Okay.
sudden she looks up.
Here it is. Just like look at
It's so creepy. No way is she good enough actress to pull this off. Seriously. Here's her skibbities. See? She sees it.
He's happening.
That is a look of genuine fear.
Yeah, seriously, right. She blinks. She maintains eye contact or whatever with it. And then she finally goes from fight, flight, or freeze and whoops the hell out. Get away from that skibidi. I blame the skibidi toilet.
So we're like, what did she see, right?
No, but watch, and you'll fast forward and you'll see something run by. It's super creepy. Watch, you'll see it. Watch.
While playing with her toys inside a dollhouse, Charity Lewis's young sister apparently sees something. Scared, she leaves the dollhouse, screaming out loud. Now, one could easily say that this is just a kid freaking out and imagining things. But what happens next left Charity Lewis and
She's
the
not
entire
imagining,
internet.
like, she actually saw.
This is what was caught on camera.
Okay, here it goes. It's about to go. It's okay. It's my.
There.
Whoa,
That's it.
yeah.
That's my.
There's no window. There's nothing. There's nowhere that could have come from. We just don't know what's going on. If you have any idea, please.
Did you see that?
So freaking creepy.
What looks like a tall, shadow figure can clearly be seen crossing the hallway, creeping towards Charity's young sister. Whatever this thing is, it seems to be featureless, as if it does not have any legs.
He doesn't even have hair enough.
Is this possibly a legit shadow person caught on camera?
She's like, who are you
Or is it
talking to?
something
Because there's no one else in the
entirely?
bathroom. And he
But when
points
it
at
comes to paranormal phenomena, it
There's
doesn't
a
stop there.
man.
In this next video, a mother had set up a CCTV camera on her child's room after she started hearing strange noises at
Hold on.
night.
Yeah.
On one particular occasion, she captured this
We were
on
watching it in the
camera.
kitchen.
Oh no. Whoa. Oh wow. Didn't see that before. Oh, is that? Oh, it's getting bigger.
It is. Like, maybe it's her toy, but probably not. And, like, as soon as she puts her foot down, it disappears.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, look under here. Don't be scared.
That video freaking scared me so.
And then, did you see what was actually under there? It was like some haunted doll.
Yeah. You could just barely see it. It's like the mom took the video.
Oh my god.
In the dark. Ooh, I don't like
It's about to happen.
I don't like this. Ooh, I hate this. When she couldn't, like, pull herself up, like, the way, like,
no, she's fighting.
Yeah, like, she wouldn't do that. And, like, the way she was pulled under, it was, like, the time gap was bigger than her arms, so she couldn't have, like, pulled herself.
Right?
You know?
So freaking creepy.
You know?
And her mom comes in and freaking saves her, thank goodness. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad that she was actually there.
Yeah.
She's like, what's
Whatever happens here, it seems as if an invisible force pulls the girl under the bed. She
So
screams
scary.
as high as she can. Her
Yeah,
mother comes over
Adrian,
and
way
gets
she
her out
was,
of the
like,
room.
dragged it under.
After posting the video to the internet, many people
Yeah,
have comments asking her if she had checked under the
And,
bed.
like, the way her legs
Next
were
day she
just, like,
does, and
stiff,
this is
and they
what
didn't
happens.
bend, which means she didn't pull herself out completely.
Uh-oh, what's this?
Have you checked under the bed? This is where
She'll do it.
doll is.
Don't do it.
No.
I'm scared.
We've been in the room in the last 2 days. We've been a little scared.
I don't like it. I don't like it a lot.
Just a giant doll just sitting on the floor.
Yeah. What was that? Did you see that move?
Yeah.
What the heck is that?
It's not, like, when you'll see under there, and, like, when we were watching it, you couldn't hear any shuffling, so it couldn't have been her daughter under there pushing it.
It's a skibidi toilet again?
You are so embarrassing.
No, I'm scared. What's happening?
Just look. See those little stripes and stuff?
That's weird.
See that little doll?
Yeah, haunted little freaking doll, right?
That's freaking scary.
No! It looks like a girl holding a doll. Did you see the arm wrapped
Did you
around
see
it?
that? All of a sudden, the doll seems to move by itself. And whatever's going on here, I'm not certain, but there's something really creepy about this doll.
That's the
After
face,
posting
like,
the video to the internet,
baby
people
doll,
have
you can
comments
see its
asking
head,
her
like,
if the doll
looks
was
like a
by any
kid.
chance mechanical.
Yeah, it's
She
realistic.
answers that she bought the doll on Amazon,
When it's like,
and no,
you can
doll
see
is
that
not
Tim, like,
mechanical.
pushed its head
You're
up.
saying that the doll is mechanical, and that's how it moved.
Mechanical doll.
That doll is plastic. That doll is stuffed. I checked. I looked at Amazon. There is no way that thing should have moved like
After
that.
doing some research, she also came across the information
I don't
that her
know.
house had
If it
been
was
built
fake,
next
good
to
job
an
on
old
that one.
sanitary.
Yeah,
So
so
a lot of you guys
like
have
that
asked
would be
me
like really good editing.
We've done some
Right.
research on the house,
Because,
and
like,
we did.
if it's fake, why
I
would she
found
like go
out
under
that
I don't know, she ran really quick though. She's like, oh, I see that.
people that have lived here have had some ghostly encounters. I learned that
Not everything's fake, not everything's real.
Near, not on, but near a cemetery.
I think I hear your brother getting the chowder.
Now, I'm not exactly sure if this is the real deal or not.
Yeah,
so
that's what
people
Lily
believe
was
that
saying.
the mother is actually
really
faking
good
this for
editing,
views, while
See,
others
when
believe
that kid
she
gets
was
trapped
legit
under there,
scared, and
press
so was
that,
her
dude.
daughter.
That's why I never looked
I
under
want
my
to know your
bed.
thoughts. Have you ever come across shadow people or haunted dolls?
Oh,
What do
I
you
hear
think
the
about
police.
these particular
You hear the
videos?
police.
Could it be that they're just a hoax, or is
Did you
it the
have
real
a
deal?
They're coming for me. I did last summer.
This is it for now, but we do have more videos. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with notifications on for more videos like this. Also, if you'd like to send me strange videos, thatimpossiblechannel@gmail.com. And I'll see you.
So like I was saying, if you've never been to That's Impossible, please go over there, like, subscribe. All his videos are freaking epic. Yeah, exactly, Adrian. Really, who knows? But when that kid got drugged under the bed, and then her mom comes like 5 minutes later, it's like, could you have gotten there a little bit quicker? Well, I guess the dog's doing great. Anyways, let's move here to our outro song, shall we? Turn it down a smidge.
I didn't put all my clothes on yet, but Lily, it's time for you to do the shower.
Okay, thanks for letting everybody know. Oops. What was that? Was that the heater?
That was a monster.
Oh, nice. Anyways, thank you guys for joining me this evening for Paradox Videos Late Night in the Rockies. It's awesome hanging out with you, reading you some stories, and then watching this video from That's Impossible. Like I said, please go over there, subscribe, like, leave any comments. Exactly. That is super crazy. Yeah, he came in, peeked his head, and said, yeah, you heard it. Alright, so there we go. Thank you to all of our friends on We Are Paradox Media's Facebook, KPNR Radio, eTalk Radio, Twitter, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, wherever you may be listening. We're on the Omniverse tonight. It was awesome having you. Yes, kids are funny, and kids say the darndest things. Anyways, next weekend, we might do creepy TikToks, and then on Sunday, we might be doing a concert. I don't know. Because it's really good money, but I hate to leave my show just dangling and nothing happening, so I don't know. Don't forget, we're all in this together. Together, we can make the world a bit better, and together, my friends, we are Paradox Media, because without you, there's no us. Until next time, night-night, love and light. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Please take care of my youth, take care of each other. Because, hey, ain't none of us getting out of here alive, and the more we help each other, the better off we are. So, thanks for joining me. Love you so much. Take care of yourselves. Love you. Bye.
While I'm in the shower, could you work on my testaments?